Hello everyone, this is Vanita Iyer. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of CIPS Northern Emirates Branch Committee to our second webinar series. The webinar series are very new to us. We are trying to continuously improve ourselves, so we would love to hear your thoughts on this. Today's session is about coronavirus. COVID-19, as the pandemic as we know it, has hugely impacted our lives. It has impacted the way we live our lives. It has impacted the way we do business, the way we network, the way we communicate. Things have changed. This has also given us an opportunity to connect globally. Now, using these online tools, we are able to connect to the global community through these sessions. In these challenging times, we would like to understand or know from the procurement fraternity here and globally who have joined us today to share your thoughts on what are your challenges with respect to this pandemic. What's the impact on your everyday business? What's the impact of on your supply chain as a whole? What's the impact on the bottom line? How are you coping up with it? We would love to hear how things are at your end, to share with us so that together we can improve if there is a possibility to improve ourselves. The stage is yours. We look forward to hear from you.
Strategy enablers, innovation enablers. This is we, procurement professionals, working in different organizations. Everyone knows now the present situation is not favored to us. It's due to COVID-19. All import and export trucks were stuck in the port. Either we can't sell it out, either we can't get any materials inside. Now, in the present situation, as CIPS and branch member, we are trying live webinars for networking, and as a professional of procurement of rack ceramics, we are trying alternate sources which we can get from locally. So embrace the possibilities and take the positive advantage of the present scenario, and let's hear few more professionals of supply chain how COVID-19 is affecting or impacting on the supply chain.
Hi everyone. We are living in unprecedented times with the COVID-19 virus impacting people and businesses globally. We don't know anymore how our life will look like in 1 month's time, not even in 1 week. So we are left with one option only: to live today and to work today to the best of our abilities. Supply chain is experiencing massive disruptions, and procurement teams are playing a vital role in managing the impact of the COVID-19 virus. We are going to face challenges every day, as the decisions we took yesterday will not be applicable to our tomorrows. We need to stay agile and alerted at all times. And this is the time for all of us to apply pillars of procurement taught by CIPS, such as risk management, continuous alternative sourcing, the need for cooperation and open communication with our business partners and suppliers. And we must remember, the way we rely on our suppliers and expect them to do their best to deliver and to support us, the customers of our companies rely on us. And we as teams and individuals need to work really hard to help them. I'd like to ask everyone to stay positive and take good care of your health and of your families, to be more tolerant and supportive towards people around you, to think of non-standard solutions, as we will definitely need them, and just be a better version of yourself daily. And hopefully we'll get out of this crisis even stronger than before. Thank you.
For all of us, it's quite bad at the moment and very new. So what to do? I'll tell you what I'm trying to do. First of all, stay close to your suppliers and manage your immediate risk. Last week I had a supplier who claimed he has 3 months stock. This week it was already another story. So be close to them. Second thing is take care of your team. It's a time of uncertainty. They don't know, will they be sent to leave? Will they be sent home? Be close to them. Be transparent with them. They will appreciate it later. Third thing, write down what went wrong during these times. Right now you have a hot head and you are not able to analyze. Later you will find it very useful to cover your risks for the future. Fourth thing, learn. If you have downtime, if you are home on unpaid leave, it does not mean that you have to watch TV all day long. Many sites are offering now free trainings, free courses. Use the time for something useful. Also connect with your family. That's all from my side. Stay safe, be careful, and remember, this shall pass.
Challenges, complexities, controversies, contracts, clauses, and yes, Corona. Don't forget this. These are the 6 interesting factors that the world all over is talking about today, including procurement professionals and supply chains world over. We are all talking about and taking shades of these clauses or these factors behind which we say, yes, we cannot deliver, we cannot perform, we cannot achieve, because supply chain is at a failure, at the epicenter of challenges. Yes, it's very easy to say this. Do we accept this? Can we do something about it? Could we have done something about it? How can procurement be different today? Or what can we do the things differently? Or rather, the question should be, what could be the things which we could have done differently? I would look at 3 P's. Professionalism first. How can we have made better professional contracts, whether it is smart contracts or document contracts? What are the contract clauses going into that? Have we really looked at each and every contract? Where are our limitations of liabilities? What does a force majeure clause say? What does frustration contract say? How does the contract termination and contract amendments come into play? Relook at the contract itself and make smarter, better contracts. Second, P for partnerships. How can we relook at our partnership approach with our sourcing partners or sourcing strategies itself? What can the suppliers, the contract supporters, what can our subcontractors help us? The partnership also includes stakeholders. We are responsible for sustained operations. How can we collaborate with the operations to ensure that the operations is not at risk? What are the immediate, urgent, sustainable operational parameters required, and how is it procurement that can enable it? Costing is the last, which is the price. Can we relook at the pricing? We are going to pay heavily, but how are we going to compensate the operations and business? This is the need of the hour, to relook at the entire spend portfolio across your spend. Relook at that. Procurement is not everything about enablers. We should be able to enlighten, we should be able to embrace, we should be able to embrace changes, we should be able to empower the changes. We can also be responsible for being the enablers, and I would look at it as an enabler.
We all know that the coronavirus pandemic is happening right now, and it's affecting almost everything. It's affecting supply chains, it's affecting logistics, it's affecting delivery, it's affecting normal life. Some people and some countries have already gone to lockdown and restrictions of movement and quarantine. Now, life must continue. Life should not stop, and the only thing or the only factors that can bring this is supply chain. Supply chain brings life to everything, brings life to the medical world, brings life to food, brings life to essentials and everything we can name and think of. Now, this time is hard for everyone. everyone who is sitting behind the desk trying to make things move, everyone who is in the field trying to make things move. It's hard for everyone. And how can we make this happen? This is the time not to flex muscles on contracts, on who is right and who is wrong and what sort of. This is the time to collaborate as practitioners, to collaborate with suppliers, to collaborate with buyers, to collaborate with producers and more. This is the time that we have to exercise our patience. This is the time where we have to share information, share intelligence for the benefit and the good of everyone. This is the time that we have got to manage stakeholders very well. Get out of that desk, move out, go see your suppliers, go see people in different departments.
Current situation is a very challenging situation for the whole world in the terms of health and wealth. As a procurement professional, I would like to share my view or strategy in the procurement process during this situation. First of all, don't be panic regarding the deadlines and the slippages of the deadlines. These deadlines are not only for the supply chain, it is applicable for the whole business life cycle. According to the project procurement, identify and analyze all your projects in the supply chain management, milestones or the deadlines. Get in touch with your suppliers in highly affected areas and wherever it is necessary. Summarize the new deadlines and the possibilities and have a clear and transparent communication with your clients and obtain necessary approvals and agreements. Advantage of doing this is it enhances the client relationship as well as the supplier relationship. More importantly, it releases a lot of stress, and also we can invest our efforts and energy towards the project goals. Finding alternatives may be possible and may not be possible in this situation. Establishing new suppliers or a supply chain will lead to high risk of quality and pricing in this short term of period. We all need to understand one thing: this situation is temporary and we will overcome it. I repeat, this situation is temporary and we will overcome it. In the current situation, cancellation of the current orders is not a right decision. It may lead to certain challenges and damages in long term. So as an individual, my sincere request for one and all is kindly follow all the precautionary measures to beat the COVID-19. Let's follow do's and don'ts while working from home. Last and but not the least, we also need to gear up for long working hours and working on weekends to support our organizations to cover up the damages during this phase. I'm inspired as I see communities, our nations and the world coming together to fight the pandemic. We as a part of CIPS NE branch contribute, committed and support our community to overcome this situation as early as possible. Please stay safe. Thank you.
As of now, I am handling 6 oil and chemical tankers worldwidely. So what I have to do, I have to source the spare parts, services and the fuel for my vessels trading worldwide. So what problem I face due to this corona outbreak is there is a big challenge in logistics, which I understand everyone is facing nowadays. So I would just share some points which I had to face, and due to this we face a very big loss for our company, which is I was just procuring fuel, very low sulfur fuel. Everyone knows, like, it's a new IMO regulation to use low sulfur fuel for the vessel transiting worldwidely. so that emission from the fuel should be very less. So I was procuring in Argentina and Uruguay, Montevideo.
So, what I'm trying to request, don't be dumb. Take the positive advantages of the current scenario. Keep the safety stock for all the commodities. What are the materials you are buying it? What are the work you are doing it? Keep all the safety stocks and plan proactively. And yes, there are certain changes are going to happen in coming 1 or 2 months, but be prepared for it. So let's prove how procurement professionals are enabling the current situation to derive and deliver greater value from their existing assets and the resources. All the best.
Hello everyone. With the global health crisis situation which we all are aware of, I think it's time for the industry, for them to understand how we can look beyond the calamity, identify their strengths and capitalize their opportunities. And it is also important for us to understand that every country which has been struggling to combat this virus has never struggled with shortage in supplies, which clearly tells us that how procurement and supply chain industry has been in place and helping businesses and customers meeting their needs. A big thanks to the people behind the scene. And one thing which currently motivates me is the positivity around with which the businesses are right now carrying out their work even remotely, with less human interaction and more integration of technology. Again, I'd like to thank people who have been tirelessly working hard to making sure the city meets its needs. A big thanks.
Just a little bit of insight into these challenging times, a few ideas I thought I'd share. The last 2 weeks have been a nightmare for any supply chain, any logistics professional. Shipments stuck around the world, orders being cancelled, cash flow at risk. What do? I say we be positive, we keep struggling, we keep fighting, we keep protecting the business as best as we can. How we've done it over the past 2 weeks, just a few points I'll share with you. But before I go there, little word on the background I've chosen. We're all working from home and this is my teenage daughter's little backdrop. It's going to be a challenge for all of us. Why not? Let's embrace it. The couple of days, there's a few strategies we've implemented to take the business forward in these challenging times. We've ramped up our e-com sales and offers. Obviously, trying to minimize the face-to-face, the personal contact as best as we can. So yeah, e-com is this asset that we're going to use in the next couple of weeks. PPE equipment. We've ramped up our PPE equipment that has been provided to our warehouse. Initially, they were only wearing the reflective jackets. Now they're wearing gloves, they're using sanitizers, they're wearing masks.
Whole world is getting shut down due to unseen dangers of COVID-19. Manufacturing firms are facing problem due to the supply issues. It has been observed sudden increase in the companies declaring force measures. As procurement professional, I recommend following measures to mitigate the risk. We need to map suppliers and identify those located in areas of high risk. Prioritizing the sourcing of protective equipment for employees, understanding the items likely to be delayed or impacted, and planning for worst case scenario, introducing alternative suppliers, increasing safety stock levels, cancelling site visits and meetings, implementing strong credit management strategies. Finally, we need to keep lines of communication open with our suppliers. Further, in order to cope up with current situation, I suggest deep breathing, daily exercising, and making meaningful connections. May God bless us. Thank you.
As a long-term strategy, we can form an emergency response team involving like-minded professionals from various industries so that we will be able to meet any more supply chain failures in the future. Always remember the tagline, companies are not going to compete each other, the supply chains are going to compete each other in the current and future scenarios. Thank you very much.
Today was my first day of work from home, and it was a challenge for me to create an office-like atmosphere at home, but I did okay today. Coming back to the topic of this video on how procurement and procurement professionals can meet the challenges related to the virus, I think it starts with us and our people, the welfare of our colleagues, our employees, our suppliers, our internal customers, and everyone that comes under influence. I think stressing the importance of taking precautionary measures will go a long way in curtailing the spread of the virus. And with reference to our profession as buyers, I think getting information, accurate information at this point time is very rare. And that's understandable because we don't want to create an atmosphere of panic. But getting information from ground zero, so to speak, is valuable, and which will help us to take the decisions in the right direction. And secondly is supplier mapping. We need to be aware of our suppliers and our suppliers, so that we can identify the area that we could be affected and take necessary measures to check that. This will also reveal a lot of vulnerable areas in our supply chain, which can be further analyzed and can be mitigated. We will eventually come out of this crisis, but we need to make sure that it doesn't become a thing of the past. Our businesses need to learn, adapt, and develop and improvise our supply chain and from the way we used to do things. Thank you, and stay safe.
At the outset, we would like to thank all the unseen and unsung heroes of the procurement and supply chain across the globe during this last few weeks of the pressing COVID-19 situation. 3 goals that the procurement professional should strive to achieve during this trying period would be: first, to ensure the safety and well-being of all employees. We should try to engage all employees and their families in a safe and healthy manner. We should see that they have flexible working conditions. We should try to address all of their concerns in an open and transparent manner. Support groups should be created so that the mental and physical well-being is monitored. We also need to share timely updates regarding the circumstances that change. Thereby, the engagement of the employees are satisfied to the extent possible. The engagement of stakeholders would be the second most important point that we would have to look at. The customers have to be advised of the impacts that would occur on their products or services. The vendor capability has to be addressed in terms of the delivery of the products and services. We need to have clear communication plans addressed to all stakeholders as necessary. We also need to address a main part regarding the legal complications of the contracts. The most important goal that a procurement professional would have to achieve in this period would be that to ensure business continuity. It would be a good time to have a look at the ratios, specifically the short-term liability ratios. It would be good to look at IT investment so that it will help in decision making. The risk and risk management has to be dynamic. The most important point in business continuity would be to assess the entire scenario, whether the objectives of the business has changed and the strategies have changed with the COVID-19 situation. It is quoted, "Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Thank you.
Hi, Paramita here. I would like to take you through some of the core and most important procurement challenges that we are facing right now due to the coronavirus outbreak. And to top the list, I think mapping and identifying the key products and suppliers and whether they are from the high-risk zones is the most important review that we need to do at this time. If and identify those product numbers, part numbers, or commodities that need to be sourced through alternative channels. What kind of costs are we talking about that it would impact on the bottom line, and how do we need to absorb these kind of costs? And to get it all right, and we also need to sit down with our teams, which could be the demand planning, the forecasting, the sales cost analysis team, and the project costing teams, everybody else in the company who are somewhere interrelated or on whom we depend for information as to where we stand in the near future and what kind of products and deliverables do we have in the coming few months, based on which we need to hold some minimum buffer as buffer stock or safety stocks in the warehouse, and get it right by having mutual consensus with the other team members, especially the sales and the projects. As far as I understand, as per the industry, I'm talking about the industry that is mostly sales driven. And saying that, I think the very important part would be to have a very clear and transparent communication with the suppliers, and having the same kind of approach of transparency with the internal stakeholders, so that the customers can be kept in confidence and they are completely informed at all times what's going on, and there is no panic and fear mongering. Having the least amount of dependence on just-in-time approach or single source methods, which are supposed to be reviewed at this time, because they are costing us a lot to source a lot amount of our products, a lot many products from a single location. Instead, why do we want to keep all our eggs in the same basket? We need to try and do the sourcing from various countries or various global locations as much as possible, to keeping the costs low. And to sum it up, I think at this time we would need to develop local supply chains to give a boost to the local economy, and take the relationships of the strategic and bottleneck suppliers to the next level, so that we can fall back on them when required, and build seamless, non-disruptive supply chains in the near future, so that we can mitigate any such risks emanating out of such kind of environment like the coronavirus outbreak. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Good morning. I'm Sajan. Actually just thought of sharing some strategy or sharing some points which I have learned from this impact of coronavirus and COVID-19 in our procurement day-to-day activities. As you guys already know that everywhere we are now talking about only the coronavirus. Of course, it's really a big impact for all of us. There is lots of shipment getting delayed and volume is very less, collection is low. Collection means I'm saying the cash from our customers, and so there are some, yes, everywhere it is negative actually, but there are some positive things which we can learn here in this particular tough time actually. One thing which I want to tell is, like, this is a time where the supplier relationship management is one of the key point or the key element where we can work on it. Yes, of course, we both are together in all our good terms. In this kind of tough time also, I'm sure they'll be with us and we can be with us also, with them also. The main point is, like, what is a supplier relationship? Let's review all the contracts. Yes, of course, now everybody talking about the force measure. If you ask me, don't use the force measure. Let's talk to them. I'm sure they will also understand.
Today I would like to share with you a few thoughts of mine, how our possessions can value to our company. First point I would like to share with you is how we are going to manage the uncertainty in supply agreements. We have to make sure that we have multiple suppliers to support our supply agreements and continue the supply of materials or service towards our end user. Second point I would like to share is reduce risk and reduce disruption. What is the solution? We have to exercise supply chain visibility across us upstream and downstream of the supply chain along with our supplier. Third point is conducting supplier audit. We may have historical suppliers who are very capable based on their facilities, equipment, services, etc. However, in these cases of slowdown, we have to make sure that we conduct supplier audit, discuss with them what is the future, what are their innovative plans for the future in this case of these kind of scenarios. Let us communicate with them. Also, we have to make sure that we are supporting them with the undue payments, completing the documentation requirements. The fourth point is that the sources of supply. As I mentioned before, we should have multiple layers of supplies who are going to continue our supply agreements. We cannot rely on one supplier. We have to make sure that we have backup of the suppliers. The fifth point is procurement transformation. All these days we are talking about supplier, supply chain, etc. However, have we ever taken a chance to have a self-introspection of ourselves, our own function? Let us look into our manuals. Let us make the changes as required. Let us make sure that we are defining our procurement models set for the future in these type of scenarios. Moving forward, we have to make sure that we are the change makers in the company. Employees needs our capabilities. Employees needs our work experience and quality certifications to make sure that we are no more managing supply chain. We are going to be interested with ensuring the continuity of supplies. Friends, this is the time to make sure that we are turning ourselves as strategic enablers for the company. Thank you very much.
The current uncertain times have brought many challenges and opportunities to many people and businesses alike. To fellow CIPS students who had their CIPS exams cancelled midway, I know it was disappointing, but let us not lose hope. Let us keep up the determination, keep focused, and put in more hours into our studies. Let us be strong together and keep safe, everyone. Thank you.
In relation to the deadly coronavirus and supply chain issues, I would like to share my thoughts and what are the steps we have taken in our company. Related to the safety, we have taken 6 steps. The first one is the availability of hand sanitizers and digital thermometers to our safety and security team. The second thing, we have postponed or cancelled most of the face-to-face meeting with suppliers and other stakeholders. We cancel receiving of original documents like invoices, delivery notes, along with the delivery. Instead, we ask our suppliers to send it by emails or even WhatsApp. We ask our security team, all the suppliers or their representative should be checked their body temperature and also sanitize their hands before entering warehouse or administration building. We cancel direct purchases going to the local shops or vendors. We cancel and convert the biometric attendance system to smart card readers, and we plan to implement eye scanners in the future. Hope this video will help you also for the safety of each of employees and the society. Thank you very much.
Good evening, my name is Peter. I'd like to talk a bit on the COVID-19 that has left the world in a state of topsy-turviness, touching all aspects of life ranging from the socio-political to economic, as well as kept the supply chain industry in a state of disruption. And while we see government and economists take measures to mitigate the risks that this virus has put forward before us during these changing times, the question which remains is, what are we procurement professionals doing about it, especially mindful of the fact that we face an imminent inflationary situation across the world, considering the imbalance that has erupted between demand and supply. Now, just a few thoughts I'd like to share with you. First of all, we need to be proactive and monitoring the situation on a daily basis to make sure that we're properly informed. Number two, we need to keep the communication line between our key suppliers, I would say, very warm, which means sharing our short-term, medium, and long-term plans with them so that they can in turn feed those into their plans. And lastly, we need to up the game on vendor inventory management as well as supplier relationship management. I suppose if we do this, we will be doing a lot to put this in check. Thank you.
Hi, greetings. We have heard so far from our members about the different challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic on their businesses and the different strategies that they have employed to overcome this situation. The activities of the branch as such has been affected too. We do not remain immune to this situation. Our regular events such as the branch events, the networking sessions, the training sessions have all been affected too. But as a branch, we understand that the safety of our members, our volunteers, the families, the organizations and the communities they thrive in is a top priority for us. Hence, we have started resorting to digital technologies such as online meetings, online webinars, Skype meetings to foster content to them, to share content with them. Our forums have seen an increased participation over the last few weeks, and we try to extend a helping hand to them by helping us wherever to the best extent possible. This video as it is a culmination of the comments made by our members, which otherwise would have been shared on a Saturday morning in a regular branch event. But life is not all that gloomy. Now our members can access our content from the safety of their homes or offices. They do not need to commute to our event venue anymore, which you see is a green and more eco-friendly in nature. It's more sustainable. Most importantly, we are able to now share content and collaborate with our peers across the globe. The last webinar we hosted has seen participation from UAE, Oman, Pakistan, Kenya, Uganda and Zimbabwe, which is actually really great. So what our members have said and what we like to say is that let us try to focus on this challenge as an opportunity, and let us try to manage our supply chains better, to map our suppliers better, to manage our risks better, and together I'm sure that we will rise above this challenge. Wishing you all good health and you all stay safe. Thank you.
Hi everyone. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for watching this video of our CIPS Northern Emirates Branch team. It's a really tough time where our human society is fighting with the invisible enemy in the name of Corona. All the businesses or economies are got affected, of course, especially our core area supply chain. It's got affected worldwide. We listened some of our friends, speakers, spoken about their cases and how they are trying to overcome on these things and to manage the things. I would like to thank them for sharing their experience with us, and of course these issues are affected our CIPS activities too. But our Northern Emirates team is taken this as a challenge and trying to maintain our knowledge sharing sessions with the help of digital technologies. I need to thank the team, chair and the complete family for this never giving attitude and efforts to keep our flag fly high. Thanks everyone. Bye.